Your ears do not deceive you. You have just entered the Cryptid Creator Corner, brought to you by your friends at Comic Book Yeti. So without further ado, let's get on to the interview.
Do you love sci-fi? Are you a horror fan? Maybe you prefer action or fantasy. 2000 AD has it all and should be on your radar. With a whole universe of characters from Judge Dredd and Strontium Dog to Rogue Trooper, Sakaar, Halo Jones, and many more, every weekly issue you get 5 action-packed thrills from incredible creators such as Garth Ennis, Rob Williams, Alex DeCampi, Dan Abnett, and so many others. Get a print subscription and it'll arrive to your door every week. And your first issue is free, or subscribe digitally. Get free back issues and download DRM-free copies of every issue for just $9 a month. That's 128 pages of incredible comics every month for less than $10. That's like a whole graphic novel's worth. All subscribers get amazing offers like discount vouchers and exclusive product offers. Head to 2000ad.com and click on subscribe now, or download the 2000AD app. And why wait? Start reading today. I'll put links in the show notes for you.
Hello and welcome to Comic Book Yeti's Cryptid Creator Corner. I'm one of your hosts, Jimmy Gasparo, and I am so excited to have a returning guest on the podcast. He has written so many different comic books, and I am such a huge fan of his. And he is now the writer of a brand new from Dynamite Comics Supernatural comic book. It has been, I think, at least 5 years since the show ended and 10 years since Sam and Dean Winchester were in comic book form. Yes, please welcome back to the podcast, Greg Pak. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be back and glad to be talking to you again.
No, I so appreciate you coming back on, especially because Supernatural has a kind of a deep place in my heart. I've said it before on this podcast, but when the television show first came out, my brother Bobby and I thought, oh, that sounds neat. Like, two brothers that fight demons, and we're brothers. And
Yeah.
he had just, I think it debuted in like 2004. And
Yeah, 2005. 2005, I think, because it's the 20th anniversary now. But yeah,
right, 20th anniversary. So 2005, and I think he had like just moved out. He's my younger brother, but he had moved out first of our parents' house because I had just started. I was in law school, and we thought, oh, this will be neat. We can get together, and it'll give us something to do, to hang out one night a week, and we'll watch Supernatural. And we did that for 15 seasons through both of us both of us getting married, through my wife and I having 2 kids and Bobby having 4 kids.
Wow.
So I was very excited that Dynamite is putting out a comic and that you're going to be writing it, and is the artist on it is EDER, if I'm saying that correctly, Messias.
I've been saying Messias, but actually,
Messias.
He's in Brazil. I'm in Brooklyn, and we've never
Right.
actually spoken. So I'm not actually positive if I've got that right.
I mean, he's done a ton of work. He's done Marvel. He's done all kinds of different art. He I actually read a bit, an interview or blurb that he had said where Supernatural used to be on in Brazil. They would have 4 episodes like a night. And he said, like, that's what they would like blow through those 4 episodes, and then him and his friends would talk about it. So it's kind of exciting to see somebody who's, kind of a fan of the work on the project. Kind of how did this come to you? Is this something that Dynamite approached you for?
Yeah, my editor over at Dynamite, Nate Cosby, who's one of my favorite people in comics. He actually was one of the editors on the Planet Hulk stuff I did back in the day, and the Hulk and Hercules books I did. The Hercules books I did with Fred Van Lente, and he's been editing stuff for Dynamite for quite a while. And every once in a while, he calls me up and he's like, "Greg, I got something that I think might be good for you." So he called me up about Supernatural, and I was. At first, I actually hadn't watched the show when it was coming out. He said, check it out. And I checked it out, and I was immediately hooked because he nailed me because it's right up my alley. It's episodic genre stuff with creepy crawlies and monsters and demons and ghosts and things. So it's got this really fun genre hook, but at its core, it's about these 2 brothers, like you were saying, this kind of sibling rivalry thing. You got the college boy brother, and you got the kind of rebel James Dean brother, and they drive each other up the wall. And just the dynamics between the two of them are so much fun. And there's this great humor to it. Like it's not a show that's scared of corny jokes. I mean, it embraces them in a kind of non-ironic way, which I love, because corny jokes are a big part of my life. And this relationship between the brothers and their father, and the kind of shared tragedy that this family has, is an ongoing and real emotional thing that's really the core of the show. And so they're grappling with this on throughout the series, and they're talking about it but not talking about it in that ways that brothers and dudes often do. And it's just ripe, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff is all right up my alley. Like the emotion plus drama. Emotion plus humor plus the genre, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, those three things together, solid gold. And on top of all that, it's like it's a road trip. So we're setting our stories basically near the end of the first season.
Okay.
When it's really a Monster of the Week show, with these guys are on the road, and every episode is a self-contained story that's like new location, new characters, and new monster. And it's just a ton of fun to do that in comics, to do these really socky. I mean, it's the opposite of decompressed, you know what I mean? Like, there's a full-on story in every single issue here. It's just a ton of fun. I'm thrilled to be working on it, and grateful to be pulled in. EDER MESSIAS, the artist, and he loves the show and he loves the characters, and it's just shining through in his work. Eder's doing a really great job of playing with the kind of just the everyday environments and those kind of everyday moments that are so much core to these characters. You know what I mean? Like, if you watch the show, so much of it is just like people talking and kind of getting on each other's nerves, or probing a little deeply into each other's emotions. Or
Oh,
I mean, there's
yeah.
just a lot of human interaction, and in both dramatic and funny bits. That's not like punching vampires. And Eder's killing with that stuff. And then when it's time to punch some vampires, he's just totally cutting loose. So it's like it's amazing. So that combination is just great. And it's just a huge amount of fun to work on. So I'm thrilled.
No, that's awesome. One of the things I was thinking about with the show, because especially in the early seasons, the television show was very Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
And, you had such different personalities with Sam and Dean, and kind of them having to like reconcile their relationship. Like, it's really kind of like a show that is like ripe for that type of like family drama. And because it was a road trip show, they were in the Impala, baby, going from location to location. So there's plenty of room to, if you're somebody that's worried about canon or continuity, there's plenty of room to fit in other kind of Monster of the Week stories and flesh out the relationship. But one of the things I would think would be difficult, though, is because with a show that was on for 15 seasons, just like any type of like long running comic book, like with Monster of the Week stuff, was it tough to think like, all right, are we coming up with some type of like monster or cryptid that they haven't done before? Are we like weaving in something that we may have seen before? Are we just going to tell ghost stories? Like, I have to think that is kind of like a limitation, but a really fascinating one. I feel like a really interesting challenge as like a writer, or and a creative team, to kind of come up with, all right, like, where do we go? Where do we mine to tell these stories for the monster?
Because there are hundreds of episodes of this show. I mean, this is when a TV season was, what, 24 it wasn't 8 episodes for a season. It was it was
like 22.
Yeah, exactly, right? So there's a massive number of stories that have been told. But yes, it's not that much different from writing the Hulk or the X-Men or something. There's been hundreds and hundreds of stories told. I have so to avoid, but you have nailed one of the things that I was worrying about, you know what I mean? Because I haven't watched hundreds and hundreds of. I haven't, like it's impossible for me to watch the entire thing. So I'm watching as much as I can as I go along. But I have hooked in Preeti Tibber, who is amazing writer and also a Supernatural super fan as a consultant. And so I'm like, Preeti, when have cowboys been in the show? You know what I mean? Because and she will tell me, and so so I'm making sure that I'm not stepping on, like contradicting stuff and then being additive. There's like, I mean, if there's like there's certain points where I can like, reference stuff, tip the hat to something that may come later. And also, but yeah, and avoid embarrassing pitfalls. But no, I mean, the kind of glorious thing though is that most of the stories that I have initially come up with are not like I haven't had to radically change anything. I mean, yeah, because they've done so many things. You know what I mean? They've played with so many different things. But you know what? The world is full of all kinds of weird things. It's so so there's lots more to play on. So, but yeah, so we've got a lot of fun stuff going on. I can tease a little bit. You want me to tease a little?
Oh, please.
So in this first 5-issue arc, it's like I said, it's all separate stories, but then we're building something bigger. Like we're dropping hints along the way, and we're introducing a new villain who's a ton of fun. Hopefully somebody you will hate and love in equal measure. Probably hate a little bit more by the end of it. But each story, is a little standalone story. So you're going to see mysterious fires. You're going to see a local brewery. You're going to see librarians.
Okay.
Librarians. You're going to see wizards in the woods. And what else do we have cooking for you? Cowboys. And I think, my God, what am I? I'm spacing out on one more. Oh, and Vegas. We're going to Vegas. So lots of good
that's
fun
exciting.
all the way through. I mean, I also love, just the road trip aspect of it is just fun. And just, it feels so analog, you know what I mean? Like it's pre-social media, you know what I mean? Because the show started in 2005. So it's, like they're not on their cell phones, you know what I mean? They're not texting.
Right.
They're, I mean, they have a laptop. I think in the original show, they actually go to an internet cafe at some point, right? But I may be misremembering that. But yeah, so they do go on the internet from time to time, but it's not that kind of show where it's like, they don't have like HUDs and like it's not all laden down with tech.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first season, I think they had first or second season, they had their dad John's notebook that he collected.
Exactly.
That's when or they would still go to the library and like find some occult book to try and look up,
Yeah, they're not going to the I mean, they're not
later on in seasons they would Google things and find cases based upon what had popped up on the internet. But early on that's very, very analog.
Some of that is fine, but yes, I mean, if you're doing a show about supernatural, you want to you want to have the big book, the scrapbook, Microfiche. Microfiche would be okay. Man, I gotta work microfiche into this. That feels time appropriate. But no, but it's I don't know. I mean, I love it. I love that tactile stuff, and like the more sort of concrete and tactile it is, the more fun the contrast is with the creepy crawlies and everything. It just feels more real, lived in. So I mean, the whole thing's just a blast. I'm really getting a kick out of it.
So with something like this, and I mean, this goes for not just Supernatural, but anytime you're working on, another company's like intellectual property or somebody else's story that they've created, and you have to come in and kind of leave your stamp on it and like figure it out. But when you have something that's, on as long as this was, and then you try to see what it's about, watch a couple episodes, how long do you think it had taken you before it clicked in terms of, the brothers' relationship, which is really the big part of the show? Was it like instantaneous? Did it take a couple of episodes?
Well, it's really well defined from the beginning. You know what I mean? And so those dynamics are very clear early on, and they're, they continue to be driven by this tragedy, which I won't spoil here, but I mean, if you watch the first episode, you know what it is. But so yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear early on. I mean, the more you watch it, the more like, certain things get reinforced and all of that, and and it goes through a lot of different. I mean, a lot more happens later on, but at this early stage, during the course of this, the voices are so clear. I mean, the actors are great, and the vibe between them is really. I mean, it's. I had this experience too when I was writing like the Battlestar Galactica book that back in the day, also for Dynamite. Actually, it's the first book I wrote for Dynamite, like almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago. It was a tie-in to the Battlestar Galactica TV show,
Okay.
and oh my God, it is actually almost 20 years ago now. My God, to the reimagined Battlestar Galactica. Anyway, I know what's going
Yeah.
on here, man.
Yeah.
But I remember working on that, and the characters were so well designed and so well conceived that you could put any two of them in a room, and a scene would just happen because they've got their own motivations and dynamics and stuff. And also just the voices were so clear that I didn't have to think so much when I was writing, because it's like, you kind of internalize it and it just flows, because those actors and those writers who worked on these shows knew what they're doing, and they established really clear voices. And it's almost like cheating when you're able to work like that. I mean, the Star Wars books were like that too. I wrote Star Wars books for 5 years, and it's been a
Yeah.
kick. So yeah, I mean, so when you have good material to play with, that becomes, fairly quickly you get those voices in your head. I mean, frankly, that happens with comics too. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, sure.
everybody who's read, a million comics knows, and they've got their own voice of Wolverine in their head. They know what Banner sounds like. Like you think about Tony Stark, you think about Bruce Banner, you think about Wolverine, hell, you think about Amadeus Cho and the characters I've created. And hopefully you have different voices in your head for each of them, because they all, they've got different dynamics going on. They've got different. I mean, the most obvious thing in Marvel is they got their catchphrases. You know what I mean?
Right.
But beyond that, I mean, those catchphrases, represent different attitudes and even regional dialects and everything else. So
Mhm.
it's fun.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I've already ordered it. So I'm ready to
all
go.
right.
It's already your listeners, a good reminder. If you want to make sure you get something, let your local comic shop know. Put
Oh,
it on
yeah.
your pull list.
Please.
I already told Bobby. I mentioned Bobby already, but shout out to Bobby, the Cryptid Creator Corner's #1 most dedicated fan.
Yeah.
Bobby listens to all my episodes, and I already told him that I ordered the issue that has the photo of Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki. That's the
Nice. Very good. So do you is one of you Dean, one of you Sam, or is it that clear?
Yeah, well, I'm the older brother, so I guess I would be the dean, and
Okay.
it's fun. Well, in terms of being that's usually how like we think of it, like in
Yeah.
terms of, because I'm the older brother, but I think personality wise, like though my brother Bobby is more of like he's an HVAC mechanic for a building, whereas I went to law school and
Oh, okay.
I'm
So
a lawyer.
you're the college boy. All right.
Yeah, I've I think I think in spirit I'm much more Sam than Dean, but we but chronologically I am the older brother.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
We went to Baltimore Comic-Con one year, and they had one of a car there that they used from
Oh.
Supernatural, and somebody that looked like Bobby Singer, one of the character that Jim Beavers plays, and like costumes from the show. And Bobby saw it, and he's like, "We're gonna do that. We're gonna dress up, and we're gonna get our pictures." I'm like, "Stop! I am fully 40 years old. I'm not. I really like the show. I had a great time. All 15 seasons, we watched it together. We don't need to do this." And he's like, "No, we're definitely doing it." So, yep. So I got a photo of me in a shirt that Jensen Ackles wore, and Bobby in a shirt
Mhm.
that Jared Padalecki wore. I think I had a prop gun, and he had an angel blade, and we're standing in front of the Impala.
Oh
We
my
did that
God.
in
That's amazing.
he was like 39 and I was 42, and
That's
and
fantastic. Oh, that's good.
yeah, you know what? He really liked it. It really it made his day.
What better reason? What better reason to do things?
So
That's fantastic.
we're very excited that about the new comic coming out, and especially that you're writing it. Like I've told you before, but we're both big fans of your work, so this
Oh,
is
I
just
appreciate it.
a real treat to have a new supernatural comic. And Dynamite's really been putting out some fantastic stuff. And I love so much of it, like some really interesting things. I really like the Army of Darkness Forever they did recently, which
Oh,
was
cool.
Tony Fleece wrote. Justin Greenwood had started on the art on that. So yeah, really loving a lot of the stuff Dynamite's doing. So I'm sure Supernatural's going to be along the same line. So very excited about it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I could talk about Supernatural for like the next 4 hours, but I did want to talk about some of the other stuff because I play D&D.
Oh, okay, cool.
I came to it late. I always wanted to play as a kid, but nobody around me ever played. So some friends and I started playing around 2017.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so I saw that you're doing a Dungeons and Dragons comic, The
Yeah.
Fallbacks, which
Yes.
the concept instantly is something that draws me in. So can you tell listeners like a little bit about what Dungeons and Dragons, The Fallbacks is about?
Yeah, so it is. It's Dark Horse has the D&D license, and so they called me up. They're like, "Let's do some D&D books." I was like, "Let's go." And I played D&D when I was a kid, back in the 70s and 80s, and I had these like ridiculous huge books filled with all the intricacies of my world and everything. Loved it. Stopped playing and then picked it up again in like 2019 or so. And played with a bunch of old college friends and like a multi-generational game. It was great. And so what I love about this book is that it is based on the Fallbacks, who are these characters that were created by J. Lee Johnson. She's written 2 novels, D&D novels with this party. And the great thing about this party is that it has that kind of freewheeling, chaotic energy of an actual D&D game. Like you get your loony friends together, and everybody's a little punchy, and the dungeon master has some plan, and then people are like, "Oh, wait a minute, what about let's go shopping?" And then you end up shopping for the whole episode, for your whole session
Whole
or whatever,
session, yeah. Yeah.
or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's also that kind of a thing where in D&D, I feel like so often we are all just, what the hell, just doing stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and you get I mean, everybody's in this party together, but people will try things that they might not try in real. I mean, it's role play, it's improv, and of course you're going to try things that you might not try. I'm sort of have historically in my life, to a fault, been like extremely lawful good. You know what I mean? Like so much so that like I end up. Like that's probably why I went to therapy for the first time in my 50s. But well, when I play D&D, I'm often playing these characters, like I play these big long head, like fighters,
Right.
who are chaotic good at best. And
Yeah.
and that's sort of the joy of it for me. You know what I mean? To just kind of
Oh,
cut loose and do things differently,
yeah,
right?
100%. I think of myself as someone who is probably this, in real life, lawful good. Although I think I'm in a profession as an attorney that is
Oh yeah, you
sometimes
kind of have to be.
has a bad rap sometimes, but I think I'm
Yeah.
very ethical. I practice in a small state where everybody knows each other, and not just ethically, but they call it the Delaware way, where they pride themselves on being very collegial, because if
Okay.
you screw somebody over, chances are, it's going to be only a few cases down the line where positions could be reversed because you're
Right.
seeing the same attorneys over and over again. But yeah, my first character was I am short, so I was a halfling. So I did keep that. But I was a halfling rogue. I was great at stealth. I was chaotic neutral at best.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna love this book because the team is actually led by a rogue. Like the team leader is a rogue. The characters include a tiefling bard who is who's in it for glory and drama. Like really actually just regardless of the good or evil any particular situation, it really just enjoys the thing that has the most dramatic punch. There's a cleric who is not pious at all. Instead, he's very practical. He he thinks of the gods as just really super powered babies. And his job is to cut deals with the gods in order to get the powers to do his spells, which is a great take. I mean, that comes from the book, from J. Lee
Yeah.
Johnson's book. And it's just a great take. You know what I mean? It's a very realist take of this kind of the cleric class. You know what I mean? So, but it's also like, so all of these characters are kind of anti-authoritarian and sort of on the margins, and they're they're making their way through the world as adventurers. I mean, are these heroes? I don't know. Maybe they're going to be forced to be, but they're in a world that's full of shades of gray, and they're muddling their way through, and it's just a blast. So they're in this particular storyline. They show up in a town because they are trying to there's a legend of a lost hoard that they want to steal
Mhm.
and but they end up getting mixed up in the politics and of this town. They get sort of stuck between the overlords and the people, and are they just gonna take the money and run, or are they gonna stick up for folks? Those are the big questions. And there's a dragon, because it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's a different kind of dragon, which is a lot of fun too. Not your typical red dragon, something a little different. And they're kobolds, and there's lots of just good kind of fun D&D type stuff that I think longtime players will get a kick out of. But it's also kind of book that's totally accessible to just anybody who picks it up, who has never even played D&D. All you have
Mhm.
to, I mean, if you're familiar with any kind of fantasy world, you're gonna step right in, and hopefully you'll get a kick out of its irreverence and willingness just to go there. It's like I say, it does have that. I like to think it has that vibe of actually playing a game where anything can happen, because you've got all these characters, all these different motivations, and they are a party together, but they're also each one of them is kind of like the wacky sidekick, each one of them is the troublemaker instead of the straight man. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying?
Yeah,
So
no, I love that.
so it's a fun dynamic.
I love that. I love to see, however long it's been the past, 5 years, 10 years, just I guess respect is the right word, that kind of Dungeons and Dragons has
Oh yeah,
gotten, with like things like Critical Role
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Money, and now there's all different groups that are doing D&D live, and it really is even the Dungeons and Dragons movie with
Oh yeah,
Chris
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Pine, I
loved
really
it.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, and
Great.
also like the Stranger Things stuff, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Stranger Things, like kind of
Yep.
it's this 80s retro show, so of course
Right.
they're playing, and it's nerds, so of course they're playing
Right.
D&D, but that totally fits this new revival. It's kind of amazing. I mean, that's actually my path to writing this book, because I was writing Stranger Things books
Yeah.
with editor Spencer Cushing hired me to do those. And we included D&D stuff in those books because of course we did. And so and we talked about it, and he knew that I was a player, and just loved that stuff. So he came to me about writing these. So yeah. I mean, it's a fun time, and I like it too. I mean, it's kind of funny too, because like I'm talking about how much like I like that that kind of analog world of supernatural, and there's something similar about like the D&D thing. I mean, of course, digital stuff plays a huge role in how people play D&D now. You know what I mean? But still,
Yes.
so much of it is just about friends getting together, sitting around a table, eating junk food and making trouble. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's concrete, it's real, and it's about, people existing in the world. So it's not all detached, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I love that aspect of it too.
No, that's great. Does remind me that I used your name recently to seem cool to my oldest daughter.
Oh,
Um, yeah, Charlotte is she's 12. She'll be 13 next month. But we have a lot of game nights. My friend Dan, who does stuff
oh,
for
cool.
Comic Book Yeti, and Dan is the dungeon master when we play D&D. And I've asked Charlotte before, like, because Dan has kids as well, like, oh, we could do like a game, with us and the kids. And she's never wanted to be interested. She's never seemed interested in it, which is
Yeah.
fine. She doesn't want to play D&D or whatever with her dad. I'm like, it's cool. But she recently watched all of Stranger Things.
Oh,
Um,
there's the hook.
yeah, she watched all of Stranger Things, and then she came to me and she was like, "Do you have a D&D book?" And I'm like, yeah, I have the manual. And she like wanted to see it because
Oh,
apparently there's some boys at school that play sometimes during recess. And she got dice. She wanted dice. I gave her a set of dice and she wanted
oh
the
my
book and she was
God.
going to play. And so I was like, well, look, you can figure it out on your own. If you have any questions, happy to answer them, but this is your thing. If you want to do it and play with the kids at school, that's absolutely great. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, is this because of Stranger Things? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, there's a Stranger Things comic, and I actually know the guy that wrote it. So now I'm on a quest. She wants to make sure that she gets the Stranger Things comic. so I
Oh.
that's probably going to be one of the things she gets for her birthday next month.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, after the show, you gotta email me your address because I'll send you a copy of the Stranger Things book, Erica the Great, that Danny Laura and I did with Valeria Savoccia. And
Okay.
it's a but it's about Erica, the younger sister in Stranger Things, and it's about her with her own D&D game that she plays with her friends, and so I think Erica's about the age of your daughter, probably
Yeah, I
in the
think so.
story.
I think so.
But I'll hook you
But
up because
I was
she might.
trading on your name. I was telling her that that I knew the writer of the Stranger Things comic, and she seemed very impressed with that.
All right,
So
okay,
thank you.
good.
I
All
hope that
right,
was
no.
okay.
Oh, that I approve. I approve wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Y'all, Jimmy, the Chaos Goblin, strikes again. I should have known better than to mention I was working on my DC Universe meets Ravenloft hybrid D&D campaign on social media. My bad. He goes and tags a bunch of comics creators we know, and now I have to get it in gear and whip this campaign into shape so we can start playing. Another friend chimes in, are you going to make maps? It's fair to say it's been a while since I put something together, so I guess, ? It was then that I discovered Arkenforge. If you don't know who Arkenforge is, they have everything you need to make your TTRPG more fun and immersive, allowing you to build, play, and export animated maps, including in-person fog of war capability that lets your players interact with maps as the adventure unfolds while you, the DM, get the full picture. Now I'm set to easily build high-res animated maps, saving myself precious time and significantly adding nuance to our campaign. That's a win every day in my book. Check them out at arkenforge.com and use the discount code YETI5 to get $5 off. I'll drop a link in the show notes for you, and big thanks to Arkenforge for partnering with our show. I think I'm going to make Jimmy play a Goblin Warlock just to get even.
Welcome back.
Before I let you go, we do also have to talk about one of my favorite listeners. Know I have not read a lot of Marvel comics, just for no reason other than I was more of a DC fan as a kid. And like when I got back into comics, I read DC. I have nothing against Marvel. I'm not like DC's great, Marvel's terrible. It's just I have a list of things that I'm slowly making my way through. But one of the things that I have read that I love, Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, I love all of that. And was so excited to see that there is going to be a Return to Planet Hulk one-shot that celebrates, and I had to read this a few times because I couldn't believe it, the 20th anniversary of
Oh my
Planet
God.
Hulk.
You and me both, buddy. I do not, brain does not compute. It is just 20 years. Is that even possible? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because for a number of years now, like multiple people have come up to me at cons and said, oh my God, you wrote Planet Hulk? That was my first comic book. And I'm like, what? What? You're an adult. You're a fully grown adult coming up to this table and telling me that something I wrote was the first comic book you ever read. That's impossible, but it's not. Yeah, we've been on this planet quite a while. It's a little bit. I mean, look at us. I mean, we should know. We got the gray beards going. So
Yeah,
but
we
it's
do.
but it's
Yeah,
but
my hair
it's
is very gray.
it looks fantastic, by the way. You've got like
Thank you.
I mean, it is I was going to comment on that. You've got fantastic hair. Thumbs up on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah, 20 years. It's been 20 years. And so we kind of realized that. And I was talking to Mark Paniccia, and my editor, who originally edited the Planet Hulk books, and he got the approval for us to do this one shot, which is a celebration of Planet Hulk. And it is a in-continuity story that fits right into the slots right into the to the epic. It fits in after the first arc. So there's that it started with Incredible Hulk 92, and the first arc ended with issue 95. So this is like a issue 95.5. It kind of fits right in there. And it's right after, a little bit of a spoiler here, but it's after the Hulk has, he goes to Planet Hulk and is forced to become a gladiator by the evil emperor and all this kind of stuff. So eventually, spoilers, he and his warbound companions destroy the great arena and break free and escape with a whole bunch of, they free a bunch of enslaved people and they all escape into the Twisted Wood. That's sort of the triumphant end of that first arc. But this is the Hulk. And so all these people now are suddenly like looking to the Hulk to be a leader, and if they think of him as some kind of hero, and the Hulk just wants to be left alone. You know what I mean? Like, this is Bruce Banner, the Hulk. This is early in the story. He hasn't been on this planet that long, and the Hulk hates himself. Banner is notorious for his big thing. Banner hates the Hulk hates Banner. Banner, like the Hulk is everything that Banner fears the most, and the Hulk knows that he himself is, he smashes things. And so how can he trust himself to lead these people? How can he, everybody calls him a monster and he hates people for calling him a monster, but on some level he sees himself as a monster, So this is at that kind of stage, and it explores that moment in a way. That's an ongoing thread throughout the Planet Hulk epic, but this is a chance for us where we can really dig into it a little deeper. It's a frontier moment for the Hulk, where he's going to decide whether or not he sticks with these people or walks,
Right.
And there's a chance for him to walk away here in the Twisted Wood. So I was kind of blown away because we got Carlo Pagulayan back. Carlo drew, he was the original artist. He and Aaron Lopresti leapfrogged during the course of the storyline. And the fact that we got him back is to draw this, it was surreal seeing those pages come in, because it really did feel like, oh my God, it's 20 years ago. We got new Planet Hulk pages from Carlo. It's like we're back in this world again. It was amazing. And Chris Sotomayor colored it, Joe Caramagna's lettering, and it's an amazing team to get together with again on this thing. So I'll tease you two things about it. One is, you're going to see a side of the Hulk you never saw during the original Planet Hulk epic in this storyline. So get ready for that. And we're going to explore a sort of a community of creatures on planet Sakaar that we didn't get to explore in this kind of depth in this particular storyline. So,
all right.
So those are two little things. So, but keep your eyes open. I think it comes out on October 8th.
Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. I was curious, when revisiting something like this, probably is one of the things I would say you're best known for, and to do a one shot. Was it difficult to figure out, all right, if we're gonna kind of slot in an issue, like, where do we do it? And then I guess part two of that is, once you figure out where, was it difficult for you in the writing of it to get back into where was Hulk, where was the character at that point in time? Was it tough for you to get back into in terms of the writing of it?
It was definitely, it was, I had to reread Planet Hulk the same way I would have to watch episodes of Supernatural, just to kind of so what is this story again? Of course this story has been in my head in some way or another for 20 years, but the depths of the nuances and also the intricacies of the plot, over 20 years, it's not fully, if that's not forefront in your mind, you're not remembering. I remember reading stories about Claremont. Was it Claremont, or I don't know who it was. It was some comic book writer, and people were asking him questions about some X-Men storyline or whatever storyline it was that he wrote 30 years before, and he was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not. I won't say I wasn't totally far gone, but no, I had to refresh myself. Also, just to kind of figure out where this story would fit, and also to tell a story that really is additive. That's not just treading water or something. That actually adds something.
Yeah,
to the
that
story.
you're not just filler, not just we're not just doing this just because we can do it. We're actually going to add some depth to the character.
Exactly. And that was frankly a challenge, because it's really a tightly plotted story. We did a hell of a job, I'll say that. But
you did it. It really is. I think when you were on here last time, we were talking about Lawful, but we talked a little bit about Planet Hulk, and that to me, it is as close as a Shakespearean tragedy
Oh,
as anyone has gotten in comics. And
wow.
I'll take my sword off the wall and fight over that opinion. We've got Macbeth or Hamlet, and we're just going to try and slot in a little scene.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
and
I mean,
and not
but
just to do it for the sake of doing it, but it's going to tell you something about
yeah,
Macbeth or
yeah.
Hamlet.
Yeah, there that kind of thing actually is. I mean, there are brilliant examples of that. I mean, like Rosencrantz and
Yeah,
Guildenstern are dead, which is
or dead.
like
Yeah.
Hamlet from the
Well,
point of view of these other
Tom
characters.
Stoppard. Tom
Yeah.
Stoppard cracked it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like there's definitely, precedent. But yeah, I mean, you can also screw it up. I mean, and hopefully we didn't screw it up. Hopefully we really did something that's additive. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it is a challenge, and but it was a huge amount of fun, and it's a beautiful book. Just, I mean, it looks great. And I hope it resonates with folks.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's great that like most of the or all of the original team is kind of back together. Like that also, I think, makes it special that
Yeah.
you
I mean,
have everybody back.
it felt like it needed to be Carlo, really. I mean, we had to get him because, like this particular story follows immediately after that first chunk that he drew, and just for it to flow naturally, it really wanted to be him. And also he's just going to bring that, I mean, he lived and breathed those characters, and created the looks for all these characters in the beginning, and it needed to be him for this to really sing. So I'm thrilled that we got him.
I'm gonna put links in the show notes to everything for
Oh, cool. Thanks.
for folks to check out, whether or not it's Supernatural or Dungeons and Dragons or the return to Planet Hulk. So it sounds like jam-packed October. I'm very excited. And for folks, if you missed the last time Greg was on, I'll put a link in there to check out Lawful because I've been loving that series.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Greg, I mentioned this a little bit beforehand, before we started recording, but I did want to say, on the podcast that you are someone, if anyone follows Greg on Blue Sky or social media, who doesn't just, talk about, I think, the things that you care about, but are active in the community. Recently, you were at I think it's the New Yorkers Against ICE rally the other day, and not just to go and participate, but you're really also documenting these things that are happening and going on. And I will say, for someone like me who checking out the news and it can sometimes feel overwhelming. Sometimes it's like, well, what can I do? Is anybody doing anything? And it is good, when you see folks that are out there that are participating in protests. I think you're somebody that not just talks about the things that they're passionate about and care about and are, important, but are out there doing them and participating. I don't know. This was, for a lot of different reasons, was like a tough week, and to see some of the protests that are taking place, I don't know. It just made me feel a little bit better about things. So I just wanted to say thank you.
No, thank you. It means the world to me. I mean, I will take that thanks, and I really do appreciate it. I'm going to pass that thanks on to all the other, folks who are out there doing stuff. I mean, the thing that I found is that, yeah, I mean, it's easy just to get soul destroyed and just by like looking at the news as it scrolls by. But there's always something we can do. That's the thing that I've learned from, so many folks, activists and folks who work in community groups and stuff. And Miriam Kaba is a organizer who I have a lot of respect for, and she always says that, like, like none of us can do everything, you know what I mean? But everybody can do something. We can pick our lane, and we can actually make a difference. And it doesn't have to be changing the whole world. It's making, just starting somewhere in your own community, and we can do things. I mean, in my own case, there's a lot of stuff I care about, obviously stuff that's important to the comics industry, like AI and other kinds of stuff that I try to speak out against and about. And then there's also, racism and bigotry and homophobia and all those kinds of things, anything that excludes and separates people and tries to dehumanize and alienate people. I'm against all that. And so when, when I have the chance to speak out or spread the word about stuff, I try to do that. But I've also, I guess there are two things that I found personally really, valuable, is that when I post about stuff or talk about stuff, in public, I try to find something practical to do and to suggest that people do. You know what I mean? So I'm not just like, oh, this is terrible, it's horrible what's happening. I'm like, this is terrible, and here's a bill that you can call your reps to support, or here's a group that you can give money to that's helping people on the ground, or here's an organization you can volunteer for that's doing stuff, because people are just hungry for real things to do. And then secondly, like, and then secondly, picking those places where I actually put my money where my mouth is and get out there and do stuff, in my own little, in whatever way that makes sense for me. Like, I was a photographer for years. I mean, I shot throughout high school and college and beyond. I did photojournalism in high school and college, and I've come back to that, after my mom taught me how to shoot film back in the day on 35 millimeter film. And after she died, I got obsessed with her photographs, and then picked up my old cameras, got them repaired, and I started shooting again. And that's grown into, I'm a photographer again. And so I will go to events in New York where I live, and there's always something going on, and I'll take pictures and I'll post about them. And so a big part of that is just like helping people see that there is stuff going on and there are people doing things and it makes a difference. And so, that, by, sort of self-appointed movement photographer going out and just taking pictures of stuff, it helps spread the word. And then also I'm just volunteering for other groups in my neighborhood and community, and just, and not doing anything glamorous, just doing stuff. And that is what, keeps me on my feet and makes me happy. You know what I mean? It's like literally nothing is better for the soul during times of, rising authoritarianism than just to be with human beings in your community. You know what I mean? Like, it's our neighbors, it's the folks in our community who are actually doing things, and helping each other and pushing back. Those are the folks who are going to have our backs. And so if we're out there having their backs, I mean, it's also fun. You know what I mean? Like I volunteered for the Working Families Party and marched with their float at the West Indian Day Parade in New York, in Brooklyn. And it was wild. It was awesome. And I took pictures and everybody's dancing, and then, there's all the baby powder in the air. And I mean, I nearly wrecked my ears again, like, cause the floats are incredibly loud. Every float has a DJ. But this stuff is not only useful and helpful and community based and all that, but it's also fun, So I highly recommend finding local groups that are involved in stuff you care about and getting involved and pushing back, standing up. That's what we can do for each other.
One of the things that you mentioned this, but just to kind of to reiterate and kind of just comment on something that you've said. One of the things that I've seen you post about, on social media, and it is kind of surprising how effective it can be. And I think if you're somebody who is involved in, or wants to be involved in what's going on in your state, in your local government, the country politically, sometimes it feels like on the national level, it's tough. Like, what can I do? But you would be surprised at what you can do locally in terms of just contacting the people who are your representatives. I mean, I'm in Delaware. We're a small state, but still, there was like a bill in Delaware, and I reached out to my state rep and state senator about it, and they both got back. Like, I talked to them, both of them.
Yes, it's incredible. It's wild.
Yes.
Yeah,
they were like, "Well, we're going to vote for the bill," and I was like, "Well, I don't think you should, and this is why." And like, I had a 20-minute conversation with them. They got on the phone. I was like, "Greg's right. This works. Call them."
Yeah, I called and emailed my state senator about some stuff, and the dude literally called me back. Like, I never answer my phone, and so the phone rings, and I don't even know why, but I picked it up. And it was my state senator. You know what I mean? It was like the actual dude. And so you can make a huge impact on a state level, and also it really does matter. Like in New York City right now. There's two things. I mean, this was what one of the things folks were talking about at the New Yorkers Against ICE rally. There's two pieces of legislation that are would make a huge difference. One of them is New York for All, which would be a statewide law that prevents state agencies and local agencies across the state from collaborating with ICE. There's a local law like that in New York City, but we want to have that be statewide to protect everybody in this city. I mean, in the state, and that's a real thing that you can call your state reps about, and also call Governor Hochul about, and that's the kind of thing we can actually make happen. You know what I mean? It's very hard to push things, through Congress right now because the entire thing is controlled by Republicans. I mean, they still have to fight and they have to, but that, frankly, they should just be, obstruction is what they need to do. They need to like turn off the lights, you know what I mean? Release a bunch of mice on the Senate floor. I don't know, but I don't know, but on a local level, stuff can happen.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's remarkable. You'll be able to talk to the actual people that you may or may not have voted for, but they will still take your call, and you can talk to them about why you don't like it. Or at least
it is a big and also
can make an impact.
I'm here in New York City, biggest city, huge, enormous city, and yet it's like a little tiny town because I find out about these events and I just show up with a camera and I'm standing 3 feet from Mamdani taking this picture. You know what I mean? I've done that like multiple times. I've met Brad Lander, like our sort of heroic comptroller. Gotten arrested.
A couple times. Brad likes to get in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, he does. But these officials are incredibly accessible on a local level. You can literally just show up and talk to them. And when you do, it really does matter. I mean, if you call your city council person, that's like that you are the most powerful person because they don't get that many calls. And so if you call and if you're coherent and you actually have a point of view, and my God, if you show up at a town hall or something like that, or you go to an event and like say, and go talk to them, that's enormous power. Just as because these are not, this isn't Chuck Schumer, you know what I mean? Who everybody calls all the time, and you should call Chuck Schumer and yell at Chuck Schumer. But your local folks, you have a lot of power. And there is a huge amount that local communities can do to protect vulnerable people from the predations of the national government. So, I highly encourage folks to do that. And also just, beyond actual politics, just like local community groups, mutual aid groups, there's legal aid groups, there's just so many people on the ground. Hell, donate to your food banks and libraries, you know what I mean? Because
absolutely,
we are on the verge of, a really bad time. If you go to the grocery store, you know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? And it's just going to get worse and worse. And folks are going to be needing a lot of help. So anything you can do with your local communities, it's good for the soul and good for, good for all of us.
Absolutely.
We're all here.
I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's my civic virtue pitch for the day. But,
I appreciate it. So hopefully listeners, I know it's a comics podcast, but I think Greg does a lot of good stuff for for New York, for his local community. I'm very interested in what he does. And it's just that if you are if you tune out and you're just like, then that's fine. That's you. But if you're somebody that is wondering like, well, I'm one person, what can I do? You can call your local reps. Great idea. Donate to your local food bank, donate to your local library, volunteer, somewhere in a group that's trying to help vulnerable people in your community. We love all these comic books that are about everyday people who can be heroic, and you don't have to save the planet or the universe. You can take one small step to try and make somebody else's day a little bit better. So
I don't know, it's huge, like that's, like I write stories all day long about, flawed people trying to do their best to do the right thing in a world of shades of gray. And that's just, that's our life. That's, I'm writing about, superheroes and magical thieves and or whatever. I'm writing genre stories, but they're just all they're all about you and me. You know what I mean? Like we're just
Yeah.
muddling through, but we work better when we do it together. And there are people in every community who are doing stuff. So find your people and
Good advice.
and do something.
I couldn't agree more. But Greg, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. I'll put links in the show notes. So you can follow Greg on Blue Sky, and also that you can get your copy of Supernatural, his Dungeons and Dragons book, The Fallbacks, and Return to Planet Hulk. If you want them, the best way to make sure you get them is let your local comic book shop know. But listeners, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much to Greg for coming back on the podcast, and have a good night, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, and thank you, my friend.
This is Byron O'Neill, one of your hosts of the Cryptid Creator Corner, brought to you by Comic Book Yeti. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of our podcast. Please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. It lets us know how we're doing, and more importantly, how we can improve. Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Cryptid Creator Corner, maybe you would enjoy our sister podcast, Into the Comics Cave. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.